Hello, everyone, and welcome to Balancing Act. I'm Linda Wilson, and I'm here with my good friend Sam McEwen. He's my partner in crime on this. And we're welcoming our special guest today, Munira Zahabi. She is the niche navigator. Munira is just an amazing, amazing lady, and I blessed to call her a dear friend. She um, she does so many things. She's got so many balls in the air, and we wanted to have her on. She's an author of several books. She has a podcast. She can tell you how to be the best podcast guest. And so we'll get to see how that works today. And she she's a widow, she's a mom, she's a grandma, she works full time, she has all of her businesses, and she's very active in her local mosque. And we want to hear all her tips and tricks on how to make that all live in harmony. Welcome, Munira.
Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you so much. You give me too much praise. But I think this is just a balancing act like your show because you just have to figure out what's important to you.
And that's a struggle when you have your faith and your family and your business and everything else.
Yeah, so
Everything.
it's the three F's, right? The finance, the family, and then the faith.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of folks struggle with that, because there's times that one has to come before the other. Don't you find that?
Right. But for me, it's always been faith is a part of life. So it's not
Yes.
different. And so whatever we do in whatever I do and whatever our sect does is it's a part of life. So your prayer has a timing, but I think the key to everything is you all have 24 hours, but you have to segment each day the way you want it to be. So you have to figure it out. Or how, when you know the times to go to the prayers, then you figure out how are you gonna um, what time. So scheduling, I think part of it is all about scheduling and using your Google Calendar, whichever calendar you use, to its maximum. Sometimes I think I break Google Calendar because of that. Everything is scheduled.
Yep. Do you color
Oh,
code
yeah.
everything?
No, nothing is color coded. I'm not that very effective because everything is on my calendar, but it has to be on there. If it's not on there, then it's not going to happen.
I
Mine's,
agree there.
yeah. And mine's like five different colors depending on what it is. So mine's very colorful. It's kind of frightening. And I actually did go in the other day and I cleared out a bunch of stuff that I keep on my calendar that I never do. And it was it was mentally exhausting for me to see it on my calendar knowing I wasn't going to be, they were placeholders, and I didn't need to give them that space anymore.
That's a good thing because if you clear out the space holders, then you have more space to fill it up again with something else.
More
Something
important.
productive.
So, Munira, talk to us a little bit about your podcast and how you got into it and why you got into it.
My podcast is called Munira's Musings. I've had it this year for 8 years now. And
Wow.
it all started when one of Paul's followers he started teaching us about Think and Grow Rich, and he got us into the free version of it, and then he got us into the paid version of it, and then he had this dream about going to New York. And there was 28 of us when we went to New York that year, and it was awesome because I'd never met any of these people, and I'd never known what a mastermind in that realm would look like. But it was a 3-day mastermind. We went there and I started asking people questions. And what I thought was they were very successful business people. They were just, oh, look at this. They're so awesome. Everybody was on top of their game. When I started asking them questions, they pulled and they held back. It was just nobody wanted to say that they were not successful. Everybody was struggling. in that 20 out of 28 of us, we were all struggling. And
Mhm.
it wasn't like we were all struggling with the same issues, but almost similar issues. So when I came back, I had their numbers. We had connected with some of them. So I said, you know what, if I talk to these people, maybe they are going to just talk to me. And I just got on Zoom and I started talking, and they said, so what is this going to be? And I said, this is going to be like a minute with Maxwell, because I'm John Maxwell follower as well. And we started just talking, and they just poured their secrets. So that's how Munira's musing started, because when I started talking to them on Zoom, I did not know where this was going to go. And we would talk for about a whole hour. And if you look at my very first podcasts, they were just willy-nilly, and they were all over the place, but people were just talking to me. So I realized, to get people to talk, if you give them a microphone and put them in the spotlight, they want to talk about themselves. So why not give them that chance? So I started looking for people, and that first year, I think I did 50 people, and I was very awed by the fact that, one, I wasn't camera shy. I could talk to anybody on and off camera, and let's just start asking the same questions, or what is their struggle. And in that time, I also branded myself as the niche navigator. And what happened there was, people wanted to know, I wanted to know how people refined and defined their niche. So it just kind of fell into place, but it got a purpose. Munira's musings got a purpose, where I was just talking to people, and it's been amazing, because the people that I've met, Paul came on my podcast as well too, and I was really odd, because he just found the time to show up. We had a good conversation too.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I see here that you've written a number of books. What's your inspiration?
The first book I wrote was just to get people thinking about their niches. It was a free book. That's a free ebook that I can offer to people. And that was One Niche, Two Niche. And I was out with my grandkids one time, and I was reading to them. And the book by Dr. Seuss was an inspiration. One fish, two fishes. And I said, one niche, two dishes. And it was perfect. But the thing is that I think people, one thing about writing a book is just putting your thoughts on paper. Whether other people agree or not, you just put it on paper, and then you can say you're a published author. And two is, if people read your book, then they can get some inspiration of doing what they are not doing yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So you mentioned something there I have to go to. I know it's going to be a little bit off talk. Talk to me about grandchildren.
Yeah.
I have too many of my grandchildren. I have five grown children. I have 13 grandchildren.
Oh, wow. I'm not quite there yet.
Wow.
Yeah, and I am very, very blessed with that. In that realm, I have a 13-year-old grandson and then a 3-month-old. So they have different ways. But one thing I'll tell you is that my kids have taught me a lot of things in life. But one more thing is that the grandkids are teaching me more stuff. So you talk about negotiation skills, you talk about inspiration, you talk about reciprocity, you talk about influence. All of those things are coming from them. And I learn a lot, and I learn to observe them. You can't push any one of them, because they all come with their unique abilities and their unique personalities, but they push you to the limits. And the best part of it, each one is an expert negotiator.
Oh, they are when they're young. Aren't they? Oh,
They are.
2 and 3-year-olds? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
They
But
can
why?
twist you upside down.
But why can't I do this? But why? What if? How can? Those are the words that you look for.
Yep. We have our youngest grandson is still in Poland, but he's 3. And right now he speaks Polish, Ukrainian, and English. And he asks that question in every language. Why? Why can't I do this? Why?
But why? But why? That's the one thing. But why?
But here's the other thing too is we need to take that forward in life. You say, but why? And well, okay, why am I not doing that? Why can't I do that? Sometimes we need to have that childlike questioning spirit in us.
That's what I say, that as soon as we turn about 13, we tell people, act your age, or
Yeah.
I was told that, act your age. Like,
act your age. Yep.
How am I supposed to act? And what am I supposed to act as, right? So how do I do that? And we've forgotten as grown-ups, we've forgotten to laugh, we've forgotten to have fun. And if somebody makes a joke, for God's sake, or we don't understand, instead of laughing at each other, we make it so serious and we make each other feel very guilty about the thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've forgotten that childlike innocence. And I haven't grown up. I'm still in Neverland. I'm a Disney fan. I haven't grown up yet. But the fact is, that the thing is with the grandkids, I realized that you have to act silly. Sometimes you just act silly. And just because, the girls don't want to do their hair sometimes. And I say, why don't you want to do your hair? Because. And that's an answer. And that's a perfectly good answer. And you have to.
Because is a sentence.
Yeah.
Kind of like no as a sentence, because is a sentence.
It is.
Oh, that would be kind of interesting in the working world.
She asks the same questions.
Yeah. They do. And I think as adults, maybe we don't ask them enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't ask them for the right reasons.
I think we've become we have become too serious. And I don't understand why we have become that way. And
not only do we not ask why enough, but we don't ask why not enough.
Yeah.
True.
And
we as coaches do that with our clients. We don't do that to ourselves.
Yeah. Physician, heal thyself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach thyself.
Yep.
Which is why coaches have hired their own coaches, because we don't coach ourselves.
Yeah. If we don't, we're in trouble.
Yeah. You need somebody like a Dr. Rick or a Jenna Armato to kick you in the butt and say,
we're not talking about Dr. Rick today. No. I had a session with him yesterday, and he's good. He knows how to pull stuff out of you. I'm sorry,
yes,
my dogs are fighting underneath me. And so it gave me a whole new perspective, but that's why we need coaches, right?
Right.
And that's a good coach can coach across gender lines, faith lines, anything. Can coach across any what the world would call barriers, because they're looking at that person as a person and the importance that person has in the world.
So true.
And it's important because we don't see ourselves the way other people see us. And it's not that the opinions of others should relegate what we do and how we do things, but we may think we're coming across one way and we're coming across completely different.
Mm-hmm.
We may think we're being clear when we're not being clear. You need that unbiased perspective. In some ways it's like when you see a therapist, it's somebody who, when you first start out, they don't know you at all. They're seeing you at face value and helping you dig deeper. And that's what coaches are doing without it being therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Helping you dig deeper to find your potential.
So
Munira, when you're working with your clients, what's the first thing you have them look at?
In which context? There's so many ways, right? So people usually come to me because they're looking for their niche. Right. And they've already established their business, and people have already established the business, but they're still looking to figure out how to hone in their skills. Do all of your skills matter? Yes, they do. But what matters at this point right now and what is it that is really passionate, that you are passionate about. So one thing I asked them to do is write a list. My coach had asked me to write a list, and he had told, these are his exact words, and I tell that to everybody. He said, do you know how you have to start figuring out your skills from the bathroom? And I was like, this isn't making any sense. He goes, okay, I'll make sense. Do you know how to brush your hair, brush your teeth, clean your bathroom, wipe down something that's wet? So start there. If you know any of those things, write it down. Now, this is like basics, right? You know, what is there? I mean, I know how to brush my teeth, but is that something, are you doing it the right way? So there's context beside each one, but what is it that you know how to do the way you were taught, and just write it down. And start from the bathroom, going to the bedroom, going to the kitchen, and what is it that you are doing repeatedly? Because you can have multiple businesses that you can do the same thing over and over again. But if you don't know how to wipe a counter in the bathroom, you will not be able to wipe the dresser in your bedroom. You will not be able to do that in the kitchen or the dining table. So you have to start there. So one thing that I ask them to do is write down the skills that they know. Is this exercise going anywhere? Yes. You know, you're going to grow your list by a full book, if you will, as to what is it that you need to know. And then you figure out what is the things that you don't like to do, and what are the things that you like to do. And then you figure out your niche from there. Of course, there's steps that follow. That's one thing. And then the second thing is write down a list of everything that you do every day. That the first thing that you do, if you sit at your computer, what is it the first thing that you do? And some people will clear out their emails. Some people will listen or go to Facebook and just check messages. Are you posting stuff, or are you wasting time? So those are things. So, and if you are doing those things, make a list of how many minutes of what you did. This was the hardest task when I was doing it, because time it's a flow. It doesn't ever come back. And you think, oh, I can do this for 15 minutes. And pretty soon when you look at it, an hour has passed and you're still doing the same thing. So how are you spending your time? Once you have a complete picture of that, and you have a list of what you did, then you can go back and tweak things and figure out how exactly you want to spend your time.
That's awesome. Really good advice. Really,
y'all better be writing that down.
Yes. You have 24 hours in a day. I have 24 hours in a day.
That's
Linda might have 25 because she's in Colorado, and they're kind of weird out there. But
we have 23. We're earlier than you.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, we all have 24 hours in a day, and especially now with social media and everything that's available to us on the computer and stuff like that, we waste a lot of time. And that's very important step there when you tell people to write down what they can do. And then the time aspect of it, Munira, that is just an awesome way to start with clients. I think that's
amazing. And to make sure they're being honest. I mean, there are so many time sucks.
Yeah.
So many time sucks, and so many things that are repetitive that we could bundle.
Yeah.
So
I heard a coach. I'm sorry, Linda. I heard a coach saying that, don't watch TV. Right? Don't watch TV. Don't use. That's a time sucker. Okay. So if you don't do that, what are you filling your time with? If you have the time. So then you have to figure out those things. And, I notice with people asking me, how do you do all this stuff? It's like, why are you asking me this question? I don't know, because I had been trained about 15 years ago by a coach who said, go figure this out. And I was like, it was the hardest thing, writing down my skills, literally the hardest thing. But once I started, why would I want to write how if I want to brush my teeth or something like that, right? But the fact is that when you start writing the skills that the secret behind that is when you sit on a computer, people will say, do you know how to use this? You know how to use Word? Can you copy and paste? I mean, these are little things that we don't think about, that we do all the time, but those are skills that can you use the same skills in other places in your life? Can you copy and paste? And nowadays when I look at people who don't know how to copy and paste, and I'm thinking, what planet are you? Are you from? You should know how to copy and paste. And it's that those things are available on our phones as well. But the idea of that whole process is to figure out what you can do for yourselves. There's so many things that we don't even think about, that we don't even put on the list. And then when my coach was asking me, do you floss? And I was like, yeah, I floss. He goes, it's not on your list.
Ah,
Oh gosh, she even read the list. Wow. And
I
the other thing is that's kind of a confidence booster when you're in the dumps and you feel like you don't know how to do anything.
yep.
You
Yeah.
can look at those pages and pages and say, but I know how to get through my day.
Yeah.
And sometimes that may be the most important thing, is make it through the day. You have
Yep.
to take things as they come. Well, Munira, this has been wonderful. And I can't wait to have everybody meet you and hear all the wonderful things that you can help with.
Thank you.
And it's been great having you on. And we'll post the links so that they can hop in on your musings, and everybody can join in and see what you're up to, what you're doing. And if we'll get you in touch with Munira if you want to be coached by her. It looks like she can do a lot for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Munira, for being on. This has been very enlightening, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and talk to the Empowered Living community.
You bet.
I'm part of it. I haven't been very active, but I've been a part of it for I think almost 5 years, and I've been lurking. So it's time to come out.
Very good. Well, everybody's glad to meet you.
Thank
All
you.
right, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.